Richard, isn't that the case that our region desperately needs more housing? If we look at your own constituency, a planned new town at Tempsford, I mean, that will be somewhere with the housing, the infrastructure, a new railway station already been promised. That's good news, isn't it?
Well, we're in an area that's already growing 2.5 times, 3 times the national average. We're doing our bit, we're growing very fast. And of course, when you're growing so fast, making sure the infrastructure keeps up is important. And in that part of my constituency, the eastern part of my constituency, there's lots of pressures on GP services already. There's no places in Bedford Borough, which is just adjacent in terms of school places for people at secondary school. And there's no acknowledgement yet from this government that they will do infrastructure first, build the infrastructure before they build the houses. And particularly around Tempsford, there are other issues.
They've talked about the transport links, though, haven't they, already?
They've said they'll build a station. That's not really talking about what the transportation needs are for people who are in and around that community, how they will get to work, because most people want to go to Cambridge or other parts of the eastern area. So there are concerns about that. But also, Tempsford is in on a floodplain, and the River Great Ouse floods very frequently. I've been to Tempsford many times, and talking to the parish council, they say we've heard nothing yet from the government about their plans on that. Can I just say what an unacceptably ignorant comment that was by Sir Keir Starmer about the family farm tax, and he should know much better. He tried to say that somehow this measure would raise money, and it was a choice between raising money for schools and giving a tax break. That's not correct, because it raises barely any money at all, and it actually takes the incentives away from people farming and to pass on farms. He doesn't understand the policy at all.
We'll come back to that in a second. First to you, Marie. And just quickly to you, Richard, on that. You're, of course, on your party's Treasury team, Shadow Chief Secretary of the Treasury. If you weren't going to change inheritance tax rules for farmers, where would you find money from to do some of these things that Jack's talking about?
Well, it doesn't actually, just be clear, the agricultural property doesn't really raise much money at all. That's why it was joined in with another item. There's a very small line item in Rachel Reeves' budget. But the big impact of Rachel Reeves' budget has been to sow uncertainty into the economy, which means that people, small businesses now are not hiring. They're deferring their decisions. And that's why the growth rate is very anemic, virtually zero in the last quarter of last year.
And what would you do differently?
Well, I think my view is, I think if the Labour come forward with loosening some of the regulations, I think we would favour that, deregulate, but also lower taxes on businesses, because that's where wealth, because we've got to start loving people making wealth again, because when people are successful businesses, they earn profits, they pay taxes, and that's the money for public services.
Let's move on now. Next, the report into the murder of the Southend MP, Sir David Amos, more than 3 years ago. You've been an MP for a number of years now. Have you noticed a big difference between the level of security required by members of Parliament now as opposed to back when you were first elected?
I've seen a big increase in the availability, and I would applaud the Speaker of the House for making those facilities available. Of course, each MP has to make his or her own decision about what they feel. And one of the wonderful aspects of politics in our country is that MPs are accessible. They represent a defined area, and they go around and they want to meet, all of us want to meet our constituents. So the Speaker's making that available. It's right for every MP to decide what they feel is the right level for them. And it's just very tragic for Katie and the rest of David's family to have to go through listening today to some of the failings in the PREVENT programme. And I hope that those failings will be addressed.
Marie, Richard, Milton Keynes, Luton, Bedfordshire wanted to go in and have a combined authority and have a mayor for that area. That was turned down by the government. Is that disappointing news?
No, that area is far too small. You look at a map compared to Essex and Norfolk and Suffolk going together, that would be far too small an area. If you added in Northamptonshire, potentially added in Huntingdonshire, you start to get to a size. So, no,
is that where that bid went wrong, because Northamptonshire was effectively dumped at the last minute?
So, I think local government reorganisation is one of those decisions that on Yes Minister, Sir Humphrey would have said to the Minister was a courageous decision, because it's sort of so controversial. So I don't want to get involved in it too much. I would just say that, yes, I do think that if those councils have reached an agreement on the larger area, they may have got a better response from the national government. I hope they'll start to work together to try and find that. It's clear that Northamptonshire would like to be part of that area, so why not let them in?
That's all we have time for tonight. Thanks to everyone for coming in. Anglia Late Edition is back next month. From all of us here, though, thank you for watching and a very good night.